Good evening, daily fantasy football fans, and welcome to a Wednesday night edition of the Big D podcast. Before I bring in the night's special guests, please subscribe, like, and share the Spunky Spectrum Sports YouTube page. We can see just DFS or NFL content, but got a special guest coming on the podcast next week, so can't wait to have him on the podcast and show you all the latest and greatest. Well, if you remember a month or so ago, my next guest did such a great job with daily fantasy sports that we decided to create a weekly episode of daily fantasy sports. So joining us from Virginia Beach is my friend Charles Sears. Charles is not just a DFS player, but he also is writing a weekly column on Fake Pigskin. He wrote he took 4 or 5 lines and bet against the spread. So Charles, you ready for betting, DFS, anything?
I'm ready for it all, man. Like last year, I was sort of checked out of NFL. I was still watching it and stuff, but I didn't play as much fantasy as I definitely do plan on doing this year. And I didn't really worry about bets or anything like that last year. Well, this year I'm definitely 100% ready, down to get, to either lose money or make a million. So
yeah, whether you lose a few hundred or make a million, it's time for daily fantasy owners. And figured the first question we ask every week is for week one's main slate on Sunday is, which top 5 player via quarterback, running back, or wide receiver are you 100% fading?
do you want me to start the question off or start the answer?
Yep.
Okay. So for quarterback, I decided to go with Wilson. It's kind of a weird spot. Like all you have Mahomes, Murray, Allen, Wilson, and Rodgers. All 5 of them are high over under team totals, so they're all going to produce. I think there's a chance that Russell Wilson may not. I think the floor on Russell Wilson is probably the lowest out of all 5 of those, and that's the reason why I chose Wilson at 7,000 on DraftKings, because he seems to have a lower floor. That O-line, if it's still questionable, if it's still hurt, then they're still going to have a lot of issues with protecting Wilson, with him scrambling, and he could easily just walk away from the game with just I say a mere 20-ish points or something like that. But I mean, like, there's been times last year where he's only gotten 20 points, 17 points. Indianapolis isn't really, it's a good defense, but they don't blitz a lot, but they do pressure or hurry the quarterback a lot. I think I saw them like top 5 in hurrying the quarterback. So that's probably another reason why they have probably a really good D line, and they could probably just tear up a bunch of O lines. And if Seattle's still experiencing O line issues, then I would try to fade Wilson as least as possible. That doesn't mean I'm going to not play him this week, but if I was to pick one of these guys not to play, it'll be Wilson.
Yeah, I'm in the same ballpark with you, just a few $100. I am not the biggest fan of Justin Herbert this weekend. Trust me, I've got him in a few leagues, and I am a little nervous. I mean, Chargers are still playing few new starters on their offensive line, new coaching staff, and guess what? You get Chase Young in the Washington football team. And just to make things even spicy, Austin Eckler missed practice today. So
yeah, the Eckler news definitely makes you want to steer away from Herbert. I didn't even think about Herbert being this price. He's only $100 less than Aaron Rodgers. But I think that there's a pretty stiff line between Rodgers and Herbert, as in tiers. Like, Rodgers is probably going to do a lot better work than Herbert is going to do, like on average. All right. So who do you think about running back? What top 5 running back are you trying to fade?
Can I cheat and use Saquon Barkley for this one? I've got no items for Saquon Barkley.
Yeah, we can use him because Saquon, like with the pricing, it's kind of close. Like he's 200 less than Jonathan Taylor, but then he's Nick Chubb is underneath him for 600 more. So yeah, we can put Barkley in the top tier.
Okay, well, let's see. Coming off a torn ACL, facing a tough Bronco defense, and a sketchy offensive line at that. Ugh. And not to mention with guys coming on with torn ACL, you don't know if he'll be on a pitch count. So I'm not using Saquon Barkley. If you've got him in fantasy, that's one thing. I don't think I would use Saquon Barkley in DFS circles. If you've got the money, pay up for Jonathan Taylor, for Alvin Kamara, for doubtful Derrick Henry. Or if you want to go cheaper, potentially use one of these guys lower.
I would much rather slam Nick Chubb right now than Barkley.
I would rather slam Nick Chubb, even though he's not in a great spot either. I'd rather slam Clyde Edwards-Helaire than Saquon Barkley.
Yeah, Barkley is just it's a bad matchup. A pretty good defense. They have a questionable O-line that could benefit Barkley a little bit because if they're dropping back to pass, he's probably going to be one of the first options to throw to. With a bad bunch of wide receivers as well, or one of the lower quality wide receiver cores in the league, Barkley could definitely get a lot of targets. So that would be my only thing with him, but it's super contrarian. I can't imagine people are rostering him.
What is Saquon's ownership now?
He is projected 5.3% above Jonathan Taylor.
That's higher than I thought it would have been.
I mean, he's still like, it's almost like in season-long fantasy or season-long fantasy football, you just start your studs. And it's almost like that logic where, so I'm going to go into who I would fade in the top 5 quarterbacks, and it'll be Jonathan Taylor at $8,000. With Wentz having some injuries, and I mean, he is saying he's going to start, but it's just like how good or proficient he'll be. Seattle just may load the box up and just have Wentz try to beat them with a beat up, like, T.Y. Hilton's not there. So Pittman's your number 1 receiver with Pascal. You have Doyle and Mo Alley Cox there for pass catching. So like, I would think if Seattle is going to win this game, that they're going to game plan for Jonathan Taylor in the run game and just try to contain that as much as possible and have Wentz beat them. So with that, I would say that I would fade Jonathan Taylor over anyone else, just because like with Wentz, it's almost like the Cowboys thing. Like Dak Prescott gets injured, Elliott can't do anything because it doesn't matter how good you are. They'll just get 9 people to box on you and they'll make you like, all right, your quarterback has to beat us now. And when you have an injured Wentz, if you have a backup quarterback like Andy Dalton, that's proven to work, where it's just you just game plan for the best player on the field, and then they're going to have a hard time beating you. Let's see here for what? Yeah.
Which wideout are you fading? Top wideout are you fading?
This is probably the hardest question because the first wideout that I do not like going down this list is still finding it. Deontay Johnson at 6,300. So with that said, if we keep to the perimeters of the question, what top 5 wide receiver am I going to fade? I would have to say it's Hill. It's kind of crazy to say that, but at 8,200, if I can squeeze another 100 somewhere, I'm just going to pay up for Devontae Adams. I think Calvin Ridley is set to have a really big day and probably a really big season. With him being him and Kyle Pitts being the only like premier athletic pass catchers on that team. Like, I think Calvin Ridley is about to put up like Devontae Adams numbers from this year. Like, he's been shown that he can do it. So like, if I'm in the situation where it's like Hill or Ridley, I'm probably going to put Ridley in the lineup majority of the times. I am sprinkling Hill in there, just because he is Tyreek Hill, and he could put up 30 without even thinking. But he's also contesting with Travis Kelce for targets and catches, and Travis Kelce, or Kels, he's just no slouch at the end of the day. Like, he gets his targets, he gets his catches. Tyreek Hill sort of does more with less, if I'm not mistaken. Like, he was definitely targeted a lot last year, but like, this stat line right here, four catches on 6 targets, 98 yards, 2 touchdowns. Who does that? Who does that? Like, this man, he's an animal. And
Randy Moss could have done it in his prime.
I don't think so. Randy Moss was a different type of wide receiver. Tyreek Hill's just got, he can turn a 10, 15-yard pass into, a 60-yard touchdown because of how fast he is, how skillful he is with his jukes and everything. Like, so in a bubble, it would be Hill. But when I look at the names, it would probably, I want to say Justin Jefferson, but he's playing against Cincinnati's defense. So that's like the only reason why I didn't pick Justin Jefferson here, is because I'm having harder times in constructing GPP lineups to click on Tyreek Hill's name than I do Justin Jefferson's name, if that makes sense.
I actually think Jefferson might be my pick because Tyreek Hill can always go off. And we all know how well Jefferson played last year. But don't you think Mike Zimmer would want to run the ball, which means Dalvin Cook? I mean, he's a run-first coach. When I think of Zimmer, I think he'll want to run the ball, which potentially means few opportunities for Jefferson.
No, that's definitely true. But I mean, Jefferson's the number one option right now, and playing against. So the only reason why I do not like looking at Justin Jefferson in my lineups, I probably click Justin Jefferson as much as I click Tyreek Hill. So Justin Jefferson against Cincinnati's defense, like, he should be able to eat, but it's like, if they get so far ahead, they may just run the ball, like you said, like, and then all of a sudden Dalvin Cook's just getting all the opportunities and touches. They may not need to throw it deep, and he may only get 6 or 7 targets this game because they get off to a quick lead, and then all of a sudden they're just playing ahead the entire time where they don't have to use him. So I could definitely see that. I think after saying it out loud and hearing your reasoning, I think I would change my answer to Justin Jefferson, but it's pretty close because he's in a weird spot where, like, I will click on Hopkins or Diggs' name over Jefferson. And if I'm clicking it to Hill, I would rather save money and pick Ridley, who I think is probably going to have the same amount of fantasy points at the end of the day than Tyreek Hill. Or if I have $100 more, I'll just pick Adams.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting.
Like, Hill's name is just, he's in a weird spot where it's just like, well, there's Devontae Adams right above him for $100 more,
And
but then there's Calvin Ridley
for
right underneath him,
Yeah.
and he's probably going to get majority. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if he has 12 targets this week, and probably averaging 12 targets for the season. That might be a little too rambunctious, but that'll be a good hot take for me. I'll die on that hill. Calvin Ridley is probably going to average 12 targets a game this year. Because especially if Atlanta's defense isn't that much better from last year, they're going to be playing from behind. Like,
the Falcons might be the team you want. The Falcons might be the team you want as an opponent because that means shootouts every day of the week.
Yeah, that could definitely be true. Like New Orleans against Atlanta, you're probably going to have Ridley Camaro stacks all over the place.
How about Carolina, Atlanta? You could go Donald, McCaffrey, Ridley.
The only thing I'm afraid of that is Atlanta getting too far ahead and then they're not using this year. Well, I mean, I guess they lost to Carolina once. Yeah, really starting the season, 12 targets, 10 targets, 13 targets. He had 5 against Green Bay. But then 10 targets, 7, 4, 9, 9, 10, 12, 14, 9, 12.
Oh, good grief.
Like it definitely varies, but like he has multiple double-digit ones. Man, he was 0 for 5 in Green Bay. They shut him down. He has 0 catches on 5 targets. He just couldn't do anything that game. All right. Let's go ahead and move on to the next question. What game stack are you really liking?
I'm going Arizona, Tennessee this weekend. I mean, no matter what quarterback you like, I like Tannehill. I really like me some Kyler Murray this weekend. I think both quarterbacks are in for field days. I know when everybody looks at Tennessee, they think of Derrick Henry, but Ryan Tannehill has been quite possibly the most underappreciative quarterback the last year and a half or so. And let's see, the Titans only added a future Hall of Famer to A.J. Brown and Derrick Henry. How do you stop the Titan offense? And it's not like Arizona's got a great secondary. I mean, Malcolm Butler retired. And I don't
I mean, we sort of saw the demise of the Titans the last year or two. It's like if Derrick Henry can't get going, then Titans are sort of like, we don't know if we're going to win. But if Derrick Henry has 80 or more rushing yards or something like that, or 100 more, they're winning that game majority of the times. It was some kind of stat I remember. I vaguely remember where it's just like if he's held under a certain amount of yards, the Titans are going to lose. And it sort of showed that last year, I think. I gotta find that stat, see if it's true or not. But it seems true. It was like all the bad Derrick Henry games, they're probably losing. And the funny thing is, I picked the same stack as you, Titans in Arizona. The big reason is you're paying down for key positions. You're paying down for Tannehill and some of your stacks. You're paying down for Edmonds and a lot of your spots. Like he's definitely probably the cheapest starting running back out there at 4,600. You're paying down, like if you want to spice it up and maybe you don't want to start Hopkins for whatever reason, you can put a Christian Kirk in there for 4,000. I think he's 4,000, 4,500. That's a little pricey for 45.
How about Rondell Moore at the mid 3K?
He would have to start for me. Like that would probably be a Sunday decision. Like if the depth charts come out and he's actually starting above AJ Green or Christian Kirk. I think Christian Kirk's not going to lose his job. He sort of seemed like he proved like he won it last year. And there wasn't a lot of talk about him losing his job. And AJ Green just essentially taking over the Larry Fitzgerald role, the veteran that you're not going to get a lot of work out of him, but he's definitely good for like 4 catches a game. And you can also randomly put him in there because he can randomly get you a touchdown where like they're in the end zone and then all of a sudden it's just like boom, like they just like Murray throws it just above the cornerback's head, and AJ Green just jumps up there with his height and just catches the ball. That could definitely happen. But that's the main reason why I like the Titans Arizona stack. Just plug in and weigh at the players, like you're saving money with Tannehill and Edmonds. And then if you want to mix it up with some Kirk in there, if you want to go Connor on some random things, you're just saving money with that stack. I feel like even you go Tannehill, Julio, Hopkins, you're saving some money. And it's not a bad pivot from AJ Green, to be honest with you. Like being able to pivot and you're not on the same team. You can you can get very similar lineups in there with just AJ Green, or I'm sorry, AJ Brown or Julio Jones in there, and just be like, okay, if one of them goes off and the rest of your lineup is doing well, then you're good.
Yeah, we both agree on a favorite stack of the week. I'm just thinking, of course, now Arizona, Tennessee is going to end up like 10-3, and we're going to look like morons, right?
I mean, yeah, a little bit, but I mean, like, I'm also like, I'm not like, they're definitely not my most owned stack out of everyone. I would say probably KC's up there, just because of Mahomes Hill, Mahomes Kelce, and all the good cheap plays that you could play in there, which Edmonds is also in a lot of those lineups because he saved me a lot of money.
I really
Um,
like Carolina's stack this week. Donald, McCaffrey, Anderson, or I even threw in a stack today with Donald, McCaffrey, and Terrence Marshall.
I mean, Sam Darnold is the thing, but I think at the end of the day, like, I don't think he can win you. I mean, I guess he could win. Like, he just throws a couple. I don't know. It's hard. Like, I can't
That's
say
a
that I won't.
revenge game against the Jets. He knows the Jets personnel better than the coaches do.
Yeah, but I mean, like, the Jets are also like a steaming pile of trash right now as well.
Good
But I
luck.
mean, like, they could be really good. They have Tevon Coleman, which not
I
Tevon,
think
Tevin, but Tevin Coleman's also pretty cheap too at 4,900. So you just go McCaffrey, Coleman. Um, you could put Wilson in that stack, or you could just flip it and put Darnold in that stack, and they're pretty much the same quarterback. I mean, you could have some good stacks on that game, but I mean, like, that game is just like, it could just be a low scoring like 16-10 game, and it's just like, all right, whatever. Like, Christian McCaffrey is the only one that scores a touchdown on the Carolina side, and you're sitting there, starting like DJ Moore is a good start. Robbie Anderson's randomly a good start
Yeah,
as like
who's the Jet
fillers.
wide receiver? Elijah Moore.
That's the thing. Like, James Crowder might come back.
Yeah, and then Corey Davis too. I mean, you've got pieces in that game.
Mhm.
Of course, Crowder's going to play and get like 4 catches for 50 yards. I'm like, why are you still on the team?
This is definitely something where I'm probably not rostering a lot of Elijah Moore and right now, and I'm probably going to wait till Sunday morning to make like the rest of my 150 lineups, just so I know, like, if James Crowder's starting, I'm probably just going to dodge everyone but Corey Davis on the Jets, because Corey Davis is a good price, I feel like.
Yeah,
Um,
Corey Davis is in that realm of like middle wide receivers. I mean, Vesca Chenault's 5K, T. Higgins is chalky in there. I'm trying to think. Boyd's like 52. Tyler Boyd's 5,200. I think a couple other ones in that 4K to 5K a price tag. Jerry Judy's 48. T. Higgins 47.
yeah, that's probably why that's the main reason why, like, Judy's up there in ownership and projections. Higgins is up there in projection. Corey Davis is even up there too. Um, it's just because those are the number one guys in their spots. Maybe not T. Higgins is, but T. Higgins has shown that he can definitely do it. Um, where it's just like, these guys can't produce and they're at a very discounted price. So yeah, I definitely that Elijah Moore, I'm probably just gonna fade. Like, I may not completely fade him if Crowder is out, but I'm not gonna have high ownerships on him.
Yeah, you're going to be below the field.
More likely. And right now it doesn't even look like the field's even really high on him. Well, he's projected 7%. So yeah, I'm probably going to definitely be below him.
That might
Now,
be.
if Crowder doesn't start, maybe all my lineups or majority of my lineups that I make Sunday morning are going to have him in it. It could be a possibility for sure.
Here's an
Um,
here's an interesting question. For
mhm.
wide receiver, the cheap running back, which sub 5K running back will you play and why?
I would go with Edmonds. Just because he's a starting running back. That's a high over under. He's shown that he can produce some pretty high games. They're very hit or miss though, realistically. So it's just like I don't know. It's just he seems like the one that I would want to target the most under 5K. And then the next one I would target is Mr. Tony Jones Jr. of the Saints. He's at minimum price at 4K as a running back. He just took over the number 2 spot when they dropped Latavius Murray. And we sort of saw last year and the year before, Latavius Murray still put up some points randomly being behind Alvin Kamara. So with a min price guy in GPPs, I'll throw him in there and like he gets, if he randomly gets a touchdown or he catches like 4 balls for like what 30 yards and he gets like a couple more yards for rushing, like, he's getting close to 10, 12 points, for minimum price. That's not terrible. But then like if he scores a touchdown, like all your Tony Jones Jr. lineups are just shooting up there. And I can't imagine Murray didn't score any touchdowns last year. Let's see. He scored 4 total touchdowns last year. Oh no, that was just. So he scored 6 total touchdowns, 2 catching and then 2 rushing or 4 rushing. So I mean, like he can, average 41 yards a game. Tony Jones Jr. is definitely a 100% GPP dart where you're putting him in there because he's a min price running back that we'll see is super dependent on if he gets a touchdown. Like if he gets a touchdown and he's in your lineup, you're going to print money. It feels like. Now, with that said, he's definitely going to be less than like 5% of my lineups. But like with my Mahomes Kelce lineups or my, 2 stud running back lineups, I'll just throw him in there as the third and just, see what I can make do with. There's definitely a lot of chalky, cheap wide receivers this week. Callaway, Higgins, Pittman, Judy, Corey Davis, Waddle, Jamar Chase, where you might be able to get away with starting him, get some of those mid-tier wide receivers in there, and just go like super high end with your running backs.
Yeah, you wish DK. I mean, DK used to have the 3K mid price for running back. I'm like, why couldn't they have like the 3K mid price for running back now and make lineup construction so much easier?
Yeah. But I mean, like it's like DK is known for their pricing, even though they came out sort of early with this one.
I will say DK was fall lenient with a lot of these wide receivers. Like most of these wide receivers in the 3 and 4K range could have been quite a bit higher.
Maybe not. Because like
Marquez Callaway at 3,400 now is a steal. A number 1 receiver with Jameis the quarterback.
I mean, that's the thing though. Like like that's like the good and bad thing with Callaway. Like, yes, he's number 1 wide receiver, but he's got to fight Kamara with that. Kamara could easily take over this team as the Christian McCaffrey role, where he's 60% of the yards that the team gets total this year. He could easily be that. He could be in that role. And if he's in that role, then, Callaway's not going to get a lot of hits and misses, or, he's just not going to get a lot of hits. Like he may get like 6, 7 targets. Like if he's not peaking 10 targets and then I don't know. It's really weird. Like it's fortunate that they're in a high over under game. Their over under is kind of high and they're playing against Green Bay because Green Bay can easily put points on them as well. And then they can sort of make it like a pretty good game where it's just like, okay, we need a wide receiver to step up for New Orleans. Like they just can't rely totally on Kamara. I don't hate Callaway for sure. But also, like Michael Thomas was supposed to be this Traquan. I think Traquan Smith.
On Smith.
Yeah, he was supposed to be good, but a lot of people are talking trash about him. Like, not a lot of big things are coming up here. I guess he had that one game where he just went off for 2 touchdowns. Yeah, he seems like a touchdown dependent guy. Like, he wasn't getting the targets, but I mean, he was also sharing the field with Michael Thomas for part of that year.
Yeah.
So who knows? Maybe Traquan Smith. Not a lot of people are talking about him, so maybe he's the play this week if you want to go contrarian.
Especially because Jair Alexander might might shadow Callaway.
That could be true. Well, I mean, he might be on Smith though too. Really depends how they line up.
I've got one. I've got two, but it's based on a technicality. If Austin Eckler doesn't play and he missed practice today with a hamstring injury, I think either Georgia running back might be an intriguing play at the mid-price because you get a starting running back. I know it's a bad matchup against the Washington football team defense, but a mid-price running back, whether it be Joshua Kelly or or Justin Jackson, could potentially open up a lot of plays. What do you want to play? A Mahomes Kelce stack, a potential Atlanta stack, or even the Tennessee stack, maybe a Tannehill, Henry, Julio, or AJ Brown, potentially DeAndre Hopkins stack. Having that mid-price running back could be useful.
Well, it could be. It really just depends on Eckler. Like that's another one that we're probably going to wait till.
That's going to be the injury we watched this weekend.
Yeah, for sure. That's definitely the injury that we're going to watch. Another name I just saw that's under 5,000 at running back is Mark Ingram.
Oh my goodness!
So the big thing with this is they got what? They got Ingram, David Johnson, and Lindsey. And I think David Johnson is technically the number one.
I think Johnson's supposedly the pass catcher.
Oh no, Mark Ingram is number one. Well, at least on this step chart on DraftKings, they have Rex Burkhead too. What is going on?
The Texans are tanking. The Texans are tanking.
That really makes me like Brandon Cooks more. I really wish Brandon Cooks was just a little bit cheaper.
I'm just saying, if you want to throw a Lawrence, Marvin Jones, Brandon Cooks stack in there, it makes sense. I mean, we know what Brandon Cooks is capable of doing.
Well, let's see. Let's look at their depth chart. Yeah, Ingram's starting. Okay.
Oh, good.
Oh, so they got. Oh, so their lineup, their offense is going to be 2 running backs lineup with Lindsey and Ingram.
I think Johnson will be the PPR guy. I don't really want Ingram or Lindsey.
I would like me being a Denver fan. Like I'm definitely a little favoritism towards Lindsey, but like he might be catches, carries. That doesn't say like what his stats are. But I mean, like if they're running 2 running back sets and Ingram and Lindsey are both on there, like that might be a thing where you could just pick either one and just go for it. Did he not play the entire year? No, he didn't. Okay.
Well, yeah, England didn't really play in the playoffs.
Well, no, I was talking about Lindsey.
Oh.
He had 23 carries against New England, 9, 6, 8, 4. Oh, yeah, that's right. Because we had Melvin Gordon last year. I was like, wait a minute, Lindsey. So his 2019 year was like Lindsey's breakout year and also his first year on the team.
And then you signed Melvin Gordon. I'm like, you got Melvin Gordon when Lindsey was a better running back. And
I don't know if Lindsey's a better running back because he's super tiny.
At least younger running back.
Yeah. But I mean, like Melvin Gordon, I think we signed to a 1-year deal and then we're just like, okay, he can stick around again. Like Melvin Gordon did his thing. The problem with Denver is their O-line. Like it doesn't matter who's in the middle taking the ball. For for the last like 5 years, like our O line's been trash, and that's just been the destroyer of them. Like watching Casey Keenum run for his life has been brutal. All right. So how about this, man? What tight end, not named Kelce or Pitts, are you rostering this week?
I think there are three options for me. If you want to go more expensive, I think George Kittle makes sense. I mean, San Francisco's a big favorite. You know, Jimmy G loves his tight ends. Kittle's ready to rumble. I think Kittle makes a lot of sense. If you want to go expensive, but not all the way, the Kittle, Kelce, I think Hawkinson potentially 48, 4,900 makes a lot of sense. I mean, are you Detroit's number one receiver right now? I mean, it's TJ Hawkinson, DeAndre Swift, and everybody else. I really like Hawkinson this year, and I don't care if it's a bad matchup against the Niners. I mean, he could get there with volume alone. And then cheap tight end, I really like John Smith this year. I know everybody's saying, what about Hunter Henry? What about Hunter Henry? From everything I've seen and everything I've heard, I think John Smith's the number one tight end in New England. And guess what? This New England offense is going to be a lot like that Tom Brady offense with Aaron Hernandez and Rob Gronkowski. They use a lot of two tight end set. I think John Smith at 4,100 is the play this week.
I can see that. It's hard for me to roster him because it's just like I don't know what's about to happen in New England. Damian Harris is like the only comfortable New England player that I enjoy.
I
putting
would
in the
not
roster.
play any New England wide receiver this weekend, but I would play Damian Harris, Mac Jones, or John.
That's fair. So for me, I mean, it seems like Kelce and Pitts are the talk of the town. I mean, Kelsey's in his own stratosphere when it comes to like his production and what he does. Pitts, everyone's on him because of his price. And then you have like the tight ends in between that are just like they're going to see play. Kittle, Hawkinson, Logan Thomas. He's probably going to see a decent amount of play as well. The one guy that I really like is Everett. I like Everett for Seattle. And it's kind of funny because the other two tight ends are in the same game. Or Mo Alley Cox and Jack Doyle. I really think so. Everett is the lone tight end there. He seems to be somewhat productive when he gets on. Last year, I think he was with the Rams, so it was just like, he was competing with who was there? Higbee. So it's just like he wasn't really that productive. But I mean, there's been games where he 9 targets. He was 4 for 4 for 90 yards. He randomly rushed for a touchdown last year. Like, he's definitely a back that can do some stuff, or a tight end for sure. But if we go down to Indianapolis and Jack Doyle and Mo Alley Cox, those two guys seem like the dart this year. Like those are the guys that you sort of want to target because you have Carson Wentz and the offensive coordinator from the Eagles when Wentz was playing for the Eagles. They're back together. And what happened in Philadelphia? Ertz and Goddard were eaten. They're two tight end setups. They're eating all day. So with these guys priced at 2,900 for Mo Alley Cox and 3,200 for Jack Doyle, I think if you can randomly fit these guys in your tight end slot, or maybe even a flex slot, like if you go, that seems kind of crazy. But I mean, it's a dart. But I mean, like realistically, you're not going to get a wide receiver or a running back cheaper than 3,000. So you just plug Mo Alley Cox in there for 2,900 in your flex position, and he gets like, 6 targets. I feel like that's a win, no matter what his production was.
Do you remember the DK Slater? I think it was 2 years ago where Jack Doyle was 3,300 and Tyler Higbee was 25, and how both of them were in like everybody's lineups. Everybody was like stacking 2 tight ends that week because they were dirt cheap and pass heavy offense in great spots, and both of them panned out.
Yeah. Um, and this sort of feels like the spots. Like these could definitely be super letdown spots, but I mean, like you're pay like if you're only playing one tight end, you're paying down for tight end. You sort of know what you're getting at the start, but then like you're not paying up for Kelce or anything in that spot. So like you could pay up in other positions. Like you can have 3 stud running backs. Where your cheapest running back's probably James Robinson. Um, or you can have 3 stud wide receivers, and then like just those two guys seem to like check it. Like it seems set up that it seems like no one's talking about them. It's the strange thing. Like no one's bringing up, because I was reading an article about like, oh, Carson Wentz is going to set up to have a good year, because he's back with his old offensive coordinator. Well, that immediately was like, oh, Jack Doyle and Mo Alley Cox are probably going to get set up for success. Which one is it going to be? I don't know. Hopefully, I'm not going to be super heavy on them realistically, but I'm imagining I'm probably going to be a little bit heavier than a field, even at like 3% of my lineups they're in, which is what, like 4 different lineups. If they're in like 4 to 6 lineups each, I can see that. And I'll be happy with it too. Like I'll just punt off the tight end position. Hopefully they pay off, and then hopefully like just stack the rest of the roster with studs.
Yeah, I mean, if you stack 2 tight ends, both 2 dirt cheap tight ends, and both of them go off, you eat the rest of your lineups. You'll be eating the bacon on Monday.
No, the only way I would roster 2 tight ends is if I have Kelce, and then I put Mo Alley Cox in the flex, or I mean, maybe I could put Jack Doyle there too. But
Could you put in? Here's what you could do. Maybe you put in like who's Seattle, like Everton and tight end, and have like Kelce in your flex position. And if your lineup's looking good, maybe put in Devontae Adams. But if not, if your lineup's got little to no chance, maybe you put in Tyreek Hill thinking he can be a slate breaker.
maybe. I'm just clicking around right here, and I put Kelce and Mo Alley Cox in this lineup, and it's not like the greatest. I think I don't know if I would go 2 tight end slots, but if I would go 2 tight ends, I think Kelce and Kittle would be part of the equation. Like I don't think I would play 2 super cheap tight ends.
Could you play Pitts and Kelce together?
I mean, you could. That'd be super chalky,
I'm
but I
just
mean that's an
one of them
option.
would be chalky, but both of them together might not be.
Yeah, I mean that's fair, but I mean I can also see that being a thing where let's just say you like, so we know that Kyle Pitts is going to be super chalk, and realistically Kelsey's going to be super chalky too because he's Travis Kelce. Like he's just in his own world when it comes to tight end points per game. I mean, you could. I don't know how happy you're going to be about it, but I mean, you definitely could. Like you pair it up with Falcons defense, so you just pay the complete minimum for it, and then the real question is who's going to be your quarterback.
That might be where you go, James.
I don't think I would. I mean, I put Mahomes in here, and you have 5,400. We'll just start splashing around like the cheap chalk. We got Callaway, and we'll go Jones too. We'll see if we can make this super chalky lineup.
Okay, then use Alvin Kamara.
Well, I mean, there's a possibility he gets in there. Where is
Antonio Gibson.
Yeah, why not? He's cheaper than our average right now. So with Mahomes, Gibson, Callaway, Jones Jr., Kyle Pitts, Kelsey, Falcons D, you're left with two slots open, a running back and wide receiver at 7,150 per player.
7,150. Well, Alvin Kamara is 86.
That gives you 5,700 for a wide receiver. That puts you at
Robbie Anderson.
Robbie Anderson. Okay. How do you pronounce Brandon's last name for the 49ers?
Ayuk.
Ayuk. Okay. I mean, you got Claypool here too if you want to splash around. You could probably build this lineup with all three of these wide receivers. Robbie Anderson. I want someone chalkier though. Maybe there isn't anyone chalkier. Let's see what happens if I put Dalvin Cook in this lineup. 5,200. Ooh, Tyler Boyd.
Then you can use the Viscous, Chanel, Corey Davis, or Tyler Boyd. Bingo. Or use C-Mac at 95, and then you've got T. Higgins.
Do you get T. Higgins if you put CMC up there?
Oh, go ahead.
4,800. You get Jamar Chase. Oh, Jerry Jeudy and T. Higgins. Yeah. Holy moly. Maybe I just do this for like a handful of my lineups. Yeah, why not?
This is what happens when two great minds think alike at 9:18 on a Wednesday.
Yeah, hopefully. Hopefully this is okay. Well, let's go ahead and wrap up the podcast then. Since it's 9:18.
All right.
So the Eckler news is big. We're definitely going to keep an eye on that. Like I said, out of the 150 lineups that I'm building on FanDuel and DraftKings, like I would probably say majority of them are going to be available or blank until I know what's going on with Eckler. Because I do have some Eckler lineups right now that I built, and I'm probably going to deconstruct them. Just because I want to know where Eckler's at game time season, and they're probably the late game too because they're playing in
No, they're 1 o'clock. 1 o'clock.
Oh, okay, that's right. They're playing in Washington. Nice. I mean, who knows? Maybe Eckler's just a complete fade.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking if Eckler's questionable, I might throw in like Aaron Jones and think, I know it's a bad matchup on paper, but he might score the touchdowns.
I mean, if anything, this is going to definitely make me like Keenan Allen more.
Yeah, then Keenan Allen will be in my cash lineup.
God, Keenan Allen's just on another world last year.
Gosh.
Like
Keenan Allen is so consistent. Like it seems like every game he's like gets 7 catches for 90 yards or 100 yards. I'm like Keenan Allen can just is always there, whether it be for Rivers or Herbert.
So there was a random stat. I think it was week 7, 8, and 9 that there's only 3 wide receivers that had 10 or more targets. In that span of 3 weeks. Keenan Allen was one of them. Can you name the other 2?
Say it again.
No Google. No Googling.
So, could you repeat the question?
Yeah, I'm about to repeat it. So last year, 3 weeks in a row, there's 3 wide receivers that got 10 or more targets 3 weeks in a row. Keenan Allen was one of them.
Oh, I think I can get the other 2.
Who are the other 2? I bet you can't.
Calvin Ridley?
No.
Devontae Adams?
No.
Holy crap. Huh.
One of them I really doubt you're going to get.
Kelce?
Nope. No, wide receiver.
Oh gosh, now you got me thinking.
All right. So just to save some time. Yeah, it was week 5, 6, and 7.
Okay, 5, 6, 7.
No, you're looking it up. Stop looking it up.
No, I'm not. I've got like one hand on my table.
So you're not going to give this one. So I'll go ahead and give you this
DK
one.
Metcalf.
Nope. Fulgham.
What? Travis Fulgham with the Eagles?
Yep. And the other one was Allen Robinson.
Oh, well, yeah.
You can see that. Yeah.
I wouldn't have guessed Fulgham if you gave me 100 chances.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. You're not going to get both of them. I was pretty sure of that one. All right. Let's go ahead and just wrap this bad boy up.
Thanks for hopping on.
Yeah,
Charles.
man.
We wish you you all the best of your lives, and hopefully we'll be bringing home the bacon this weekend.
Oh yeah, definitely. Good luck to you as well. I'm definitely excited. Football's back and it's in full effect. COVID's still something to worry about, but doesn't seem that big of a problem. So
Yeah, full crowds back and a full DFS slates. We'll all be in this weekend.
all right. Hopefully no games are going to be changing like they did last year.
Yeah, well, they already changed one with the Falcons and Saints playing in Jacksonville with Ida. But
Yeah, that's fair though. That's a natural disaster.
All right. See you next week.
All right, guys.
Oh wait, how do I? Oh.